The first time I noticed it was exactly 23 days ago, on a Tuesday evening in late autumn. The days had grown shorter, darkness falling by 6, and I had just finished a long shift at the hospital. My shoulders ached from hunching over patients all day, my mind clouded with fatigue. All I wanted was a hot shower to wash away the antiseptic smell that clung to my skin like a second layer. I remember every detail of that moment with unnatural clarity now. The bathroom tiles cold beneath my bare feet. The quiet hum of the heating system struggling against the first real chill of the season. The soft yellow glow of the vintage light fixture I had installed when I first moved into this apartment 3 years ago, back when this place felt like a sanctuary. Safe, private. It happened as I was brushing my teeth, head bent over the sink. That subtle shift in the atmosphere, a feeling of attention. I raised my eyes to the mirror, toothpaste foam at the corners of my mouth, and that's when I caught it, just at the edge of my vision. A movement behind the frosted glass of the bathroom window, a darker shadow passing slowly across the diffused glow of the streetlight beyond. Just a flicker, there and gone. My body tensed, toothbrush suspended midair. I turned, droplets of water pattering against the ceramic sink, and stared at the window. Nothing, just the familiar outline of tree branches from the park across the street, distorted through the textured glass. Probably a bird, I whispered to the empty bathroom, my voice echoing slightly against the shower tiles. Or the neighbor's cat on the fire escape. Except my apartment is on the 4th floor. The bathroom window faces the sheer drop to the concrete courtyard below. No fire escape, no ledge. Nothing should be moving outside that window. I rinsed my mouth quickly, splashed cold water on my face, and hurried to bed, blaming my imagination, blaming exhaustion. I left the bathroom light on that night, just in case. The following evening, I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. The human mind is remarkably adaptable, eager to rationalize away the impossible. I went through my evening routine with deliberate normalcy, changed into sweats, scrubbed my face, filled a glass with water from the kitchen tap. But as I approached the bathroom doorway, my steps slowed. A heaviness settled in my stomach, that primal instinct that something was wrong. The bathroom remained exactly as I'd left it. White tiles, white walls, the frosted window a pale rectangle in the gathering gloom. I flicked on the light and forced myself to step inside, reaching for my toothbrush with fingers that trembled ever so slightly. And there it was again, that movement, more distinct this time. A dark silhouette passing behind the glass, pausing at the center of the window. It lingered for 3, maybe 4 seconds, long enough for me to be absolutely certain I wasn't imagining it, before sliding out of view. My heart hammered against my ribs. Fight or flight response flooded my system with adrenaline, though there was nowhere to flee, nothing tangible to fight. Just that frosted window and whatever lurked beyond it, for stories above the ground where nothing should be. Night after night, it returned. The shadow, growing bolder, sometimes lingering for half a minute or more, a darker presence against the diffused light. I started showering in the mornings, started avoiding the bathroom after sunset, rushing through my evening routine with the lights off, guided only by the glow of my phone's flashlight. I felt ridiculous, a 34-year-old trauma nurse afraid of shadows in his own apartment. On the 7th night, as October bled into November and a storm front moved in from the coast, I heard it for the first time. I was lying in bed, covers pulled to my chest, despite the efficient heating of my building. A book open but unread beside me. The digital clock on my nightstand cast a red glow across the room. 2:17 a.m. That's when it came. A subtle scraping against the bathroom window. Deliberate, rhythmic, like fingernails, no, like claws, testing the barrier between us. Tap, drag, tap, drag. Precise, patient. I pressed my palms against my ears, but it only seemed to amplify the sound, as if it were coming from inside my head rather than down the hallway. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. By the weekend, the dark circles under my eyes had deepened to bruise-like shadows. My co-workers noticed. My few friends noticed. Just stress, I explained over coffee that Saturday, avoiding Mark's concerned gaze. End-of-year evaluations coming up. You know how it is. How could I tell them about the shadow that couldn't exist? About the scraping sounds that came precisely at 2:17 each morning? About how I'd begun to feel watched even in other rooms of my apartment, even at the hospital, even sitting here in this crowded cafe. You should take something, Mark suggested, stirring his coffee. My doctor prescribed Ambien when I went through that rough patch last year. I nodded, knowing no sleep aid would help. This wasn't insomnia. This was something else. I called building maintenance on Monday morning, fingers trembling as I dialed the number. Is there a ledge outside my bathroom window? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady when the building manager finally answered. Or maybe some kind of architectural detail someone could stand on? No, sir, he replied, confusion evident in his tone. That whole side of the building is smooth concrete, just a sheer drop, for stories straight down to the courtyard. And has anyone reported any unusual activity? Break-ins maybe? Or, I hesitated, feeling foolish. Strange noises, not that I'm aware of. Is there a specific issue I should look into? I thanked him and hung up, no closer to an explanation. I switched to showering at the gym after my shifts. I bought blackout curtains for the bathroom window, though something prevented me from actually installing them. Some irrational fear that blocking my view of the shadow would somehow give it license to come inside. Last Tuesday, after nearly 3 weeks of this slow psychological torture, it rained. Not the gentle autumn shower that polishes the city to a gleam, a violent downpour that overwhelmed gutters and turned streets into rushing rivers. I'd forgotten my umbrella, of course. By the time I made it from the subway station to my apartment building, I was drenched to the skin, my scrubs clinging uncomfortably, short dark hair plastered to my scalp. I stood dripping in my entryway, teeth chattering, a puddle forming around my squeaking shoes. I needed a hot shower desperately. The gym was 15 blocks away. The cold had seeped into my bones. This is ridiculous, I said aloud to my empty apartment. My voice sounded strange in the stillness, like it belonged to someone else. 4 stories up, no ledge, nothing but air and a straight drop to concrete. I was letting my imagination run wild, letting exhaustion and stress manifest as paranoia. That had to be it. The alternative was too impossible to consider. I stripped off my wet clothes, leaving them in a sodden pile on the bathroom floor. I kept my eyes fixed on the white subway tiles ahead as I stepped into the shower stall, carefully avoiding even a glance toward the window. The hot water felt glorious against my chilled skin. Steam billowed around me, fogging the glass shower door, wrapping me in a momentary cocoon of safety and warmth. I was just beginning to relax, the tension in my shoulders starting to ease, when the bathroom light flickered. Once, twice, then darkness. The shower continued to run, but its comforting patter now seemed sinister in the sudden dark. I stood perfectly still, water streaming down my body, afraid to move, afraid to breathe, in the silence that followed the power outage. For surely that's all it was, a simple power outage caused by the storm. I heard it clearly, that scraping sound, closer now, more deliberate, and something else, soft, wet breathing that didn't correspond to the rhythm of my own ragged inhalations. I forced myself to turn, slowly, water droplets sliding down my trembling limbs. The frosted glass of the window glowed faintly from the streetlights below, a diffused rectangle of bluish light in the darkness. And against that glow, a darker shadow loomed, larger than before, more defined, less a vague silhouette and more aform. I watched, paralyzed by a fear so profound it transcended panic into an eerie calm, as 5 long, thin appendages pressed against the glass. Not fingers. Too long, too jointed. They splayed across the window, exploring, probing, leaving faint smears against the condensation that had formed on the inside of the glass from my shower steam. A sudden crack split the silence, sharp as a gunshot in the confined space. The glass had developed a thin fissure from the pressure. Then another, and another. A web of fractures spreading outward, from where those impossible fingers pressed. I finally broke free from my trance, nearly slipping on the wet tiles as I fled the bathroom, not bothering to turn off the shower, not bothering to grab a towel. I slammed the door behind me with enough force to rattle the framed prints in my hallway, then dragged my heavy oak dresser in front of it, the legs screeching against the hardwood floor. I slept on my couch that night. Slept being a generous term for the state of hypervigilance I maintained until dawn broke. All the lights in my apartment blazed, a kitchen knife clutched in my trembling hand. Every creak of the building, every gust of wind against the windows, sent fresh waves of adrenaline coursing through my system. In the morning light, I convinced myself it had been a nightmare, a stress-induced hallucination brought on by weeks of sleep deprivation and anxiety. The power had gone out because of the storm. I'd panicked in the dark, created monsters from shadows. But when I finally worked up the courage to move the dresser and enter the bathroom, the window was covered in spiderweb cracks radiating outward from 5 distinct points of impact. I'm staying at the Parkview Hotel now. I've given notice on my apartment. I tell myself I'm being silly, that there's a logical explanation for everything that's happened. Gas leak, perhaps. Carbon monoxide poisoning causing hallucinations. Or maybe a psychotic break, triggered by overwork and isolation. Yet every night, in my hotel bathroom with its solid, windowless walls, I hear it. That soft scraping sound. Tap, drag, tap, drag. As if it's searching. As if it's followed me. But it's what happened last night that compels me to write this down. To create some record of what's happening to me. Before I can no longer trust my own perceptions. Before I'm no longer myself. I woke at exactly 2:17 a.m. that same time, to find my hotel room bathed in a strange, blue-gray light that seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere at once. The bathroom door, which I had firmly closed and wedged shut with a chair before sleeping, now stood ajar. Steam billowed out into the room, though I hadn't run the shower. The air felt thick, charged with a static electricity that made the stubble on my arms and the back of my neck stand on end. The temperature had dropped dramatically. I could see my breath forming small clouds with each terrified exhalation. And there, reflected in the mirror on the opposite wall, I could see into the bathroom where a shower curtain billowed outward, stretched by something moving behind it. Something tall and thin and wrong in its proportions. Its silhouette distorted in ways that defied anatomical possibility. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I watched as a limb, pale and glistening with too many joints, slowly curled around the edge of the cream-colored curtain. The skin, if it could be called skin, had a translucent quality, bluish veins visible beneath the surface, pulsing with a liquid that seemed too dark, too viscous to be blood. Then it paused, and I swear I heard a low, rattling voice whisper, "I can see you now." The curtain was suddenly yanked aside with enough force to tear it from 2 of its rings, but I had already closed my eyes, pressing them shut with all my might. Childish, perhaps, this instinct that if I couldn't see it, it couldn't see me. But it was all I had left to cling to in that moment of pure terror. I felt a mattress depressed near my feet. Something was in the room with me, on the bed with me. The springs creaked beneath a weight that shifted incrementally closer. I kept my eyes closed, body rigid as marble, as a cold, wet touch traced up my ankle, my calf, my thigh. It left a trail of moisture that chilled rapidly in the frigid air of the room, like the slime path of some grotesque gastropod. I bit my lip until I tasted blood, fighting the scream building in my throat. The touch withdrew. I heard something slide across the carpet, not footsteps, but a dragging, shuffling movement. The soft click of the room's door opening and closing. When morning came, when I was certain, absolutely certain the sun had risen, I opened my eyes to find the room returned to normal. No blue light, no chill in the air. The bathroom door firmly closed with the chair still propped beneath the handle. I checked out immediately, hands shaking so badly I could barely sign the receipt. The desk clerk asked if everything had been satisfactory with my stay. I managed to nod, though my reflection in the brass panels behind her showed a face I barely recognized. Gaunt, pale, eyes too wide and glassy. I'm writing this now from a 24-hour diner 8 blocks away, my third cup of coffee growing cold beside my laptop. The waiter has stopped asking if I want refills, perhaps put off by my disheveled appearance, by the way I flinch at every sound, every movement near my peripheral vision. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Because when I used the diner's bathroom 20 minutes ago and caught my reflection in the spotted mirror above the sink, I noticed something that made my blood freeze in my veins. 5 small bruises on my right cheek, perfectly spaced, like fingerprints. Except they're not fingerprints at all. They're too long, too thin, the marks spaced at impossible intervals that no human hand could create. And they're spreading, darkening. As I sit here typing, I can feel them, cold spots beneath my skin, each one pulsing in unison like beacon points. When I touch them, my fingers come away with a faint sheen of moisture, though the bruises themselves are dry to the touch, calling to it, leading it back to me. I think it's getting closer. I keep seeing that shadow in my peripheral vision, even here under the bright fluorescent lights of the diner. It's following me, finding me. No, that's not right. It's already found me. It's inside me now. I can feel it, moving beneath my skin like a parasite seeking purchase. In the reflection of my laptop screen, my eyes look different. The pupils too large, too dark, with something moving behind them that isn't me. I think tonight, when I look in a mirror, if I can still force myself to look, I won't see my face looking back. I'll see it watching through my eyes, waiting, and I don't know what it's waiting for.